Hello, this is Mimi.
And this is Lee, and we are talking about one of the most common things people say to us when they enter our community. Just tell me what to do.
I have said that so many times, Lee, in so many situations.
Yeah, me too.
I'm just exhausted from trying to figure it out all by myself.
Mhm. I
So
have actually pleaded with people, just tell me what to do.
I'm willing to do it. Like it's almost like I'm willing to do anything, right? So
Mhm.
if you feel like that's you and you're out there wandering in the weight loss wilderness, then you're in the perfect place. Come and listen in and join our discussion today.
Yes. So we know that some people come into our community and we can tell they're a little confused because they, like we so often have, are waiting for us to come at them with some kind of lightning quick magical instructions, like just do this, this, and this, and repeat all the other kinds of advice that diet books and programs they've tried in the past do, programs that ultimately failed, by the way. And it's not, people are confused when they come in. It's not their fault. It's the fault of diet culture brainwashing all of us to believe that there is this 9.99 magic instant formula out there. And if you just snap your fingers and use this formula, everything's going to be okay.
But that's hard. I mean, it's hard to sustain um, something that's so restrictive, right? It's like, oh, I'm just going to buy this meal plan and they're going to send me everything I'm supposed to eat for every meal and snack for the next month, or 2 months. And
Mhm.
so I was like, oh, this is working, these kind of quick fixes, easy, no brainer things. But I'm not going to do that forever. Like it doesn't work during the holidays. It's hard because there's so many events. It doesn't work if I have to go on holiday. Like it's not teaching me the things that I need to learn that got me into weight loss problems in the first place. So
Mhm.
then that diet fails. And often me and maybe you guys too end up with even more weight than when you started.
Right. So when you are asking somebody just to tell you what to do, it's understandable. Like it's really understandable because again, we've been trained by an industry. The diet industry has trained us to do that because everybody's got advice. Everywhere you turn, somebody's got their advice. And it's not that all the advice is bad, but when you just go chasing after advice and letting other people dictate your life and how you live and what goes into your body, the reason we all got here with, weight issues is because that doesn't work. Listening to what somebody else tells you to do with your body, with your food, will only work for a short amount of time. Eventually, you're going to kind of trail off of it because you do have your own needs. You have your own way of doing things, your own schedule, your own lifestyle, and you need to find something that's going to work for you.
Yeah, that's true. And often when we try to talk to people about, hey, what if you didn't? What if we didn't tell you what to do? What would that look like? And often, you know, the women that we work with, they don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear, how we present something because it's not sparkly. It doesn't feel instant. It doesn't feel in that moment as though it's easy. Like following an ABC plan can feel really easy. That's why diet books and programs are so profitable because they're preying on that sentiment that I've tried everything. I've tried everything. Maybe this is the thing.
This is the thing. Here's, like the golden fleece. We've got it right here.
Yeah.
And people just are so hard on themselves too. They've come to believe that they can't figure it out on their own, which is such a shame, and it's not true. We believe that is not true. You can figure it out. It's just you've forgotten how, or nobody ever showed you how. And so maybe you need a little guidance and support and encouragement to figure it out. That's what we do. But so people are so scared to trust themselves after so many years of following, 50 diets.
I think, don't you, Lee, that we just become a little disconnected from our bodies. And so it's hard for us to trust that we're going to make the right decision.
Mhm.
Like everything feels like, am I hungry? I don't know if I'm hungry. Like, when was the last time I was like truly hungry? And I think that disconnection between our brain and our gut makes us, it's almost as though it reinforces our sense of, I don't think I can do this on my own.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah, so it feels scary. I think when sometimes, I mean, I can tell, when people feel kind of like not just confused, but even it's scary to think about taking your own power back. Like that is really actually kind of scary for people. But, we would challenge you to ask yourself, what if I do have exactly what it takes to figure this out with some guidance and support? And just sit with that question. Don't just, have it go in one ear and out the other. What if you do have exactly what it takes to figure this out with, I would say, with some guidance and support, because all by yourself it might feel too scary. But yeah, what if you have it what it takes? And just consider that. Like, what if it's not true that I don't have what it takes to do it by myself?
yeah. Yeah. There's just a couple of things that you said in there, Lee, that I think link, and it just made a light bulb go off in my head when you said, made the comment like, what if you could take your power back? And then what if I do have what it takes? And I wonder if so often, the way we were raised, we never had the power
Mm,
to really understand. Like, we were taught, like, finish everything on your plate, oh, I cooked this for you. It's delicious. You've got to eat it. So we weren't ever really engaged with what our hunger signals were, what we like to eat.
mm,
There's this idea of they're starving children, finish your meal. So even like from a really young age, we weren't connecting eating with hunger,
mhm.
maybe. So then it's like the idea of what if I do have exactly what it takes can feel really hard because I've never been asked to do that. It's a really new concept, right?
Yeah, it can feel like that's wrong. Like
Yeah.
that's just wrong. But I would ask, if you're listening to this, try to challenge yourself to like notice if you think that's just flat out wrong or whatever comes up in you, like I can't do that. Maybe some people can, but I can't. To just let those thoughts kind of float through, but then kind of stick with it. Like, okay, I hear those thoughts and fears, but what if I do have what it takes? What if I just need to kind of dwell on this for a while and kind of take it in? Maybe could that be true? Could that be true? And the thing is, like, if you've had surgery, you've made a big life decision, a ginormous medical decision, and a big sacrifice, both physically and financially. You know, you've already demonstrated that, because maybe you had to save the money, or maybe you had to jump through all the hoops that the insurance company makes you jump through. You have to get a lot of stuff together and do a lot to make that happen. It's not an easy surgery, to necessarily get. And it costs a lot of money. Even if you go abroad and do sort of medical tourism, you are paying out of pocket. You've got to make the trip happen. That's a huge commitment. So you've already demonstrated that you have a lot of grit and determination to get through so much. And then to go, it's a scary surgery. To go through the surgery is scary, and you've proven that you have courage to go through with that. So part one of the solution for people here is, the surgery. That's part one, but then there's part two, the rest of your life. Right?
Yeah. The rest of your, and I think, because that's when it's like, okay, I made this big decision and I had the surgery and it's doing its job. Now, now I have to step in and figure out, and there's not always a support for what that can look like. There's the support like eat that, like week 1, week 2, week 3 for what you physically have to do, but the emotional and mental support's not always there.
Right. And therapy is great. I mean, because some people really do need to get, maybe it's the first time they've ever had therapy. Most surgical practices will, give referrals, or they may have people working in their practice who do, counseling. And that's good, but it's not that like consistent support about the everyday stuff that really comes up for people. The hand holding, I'm just scared kind of stuff. You can't run to a therapist for help with that. It's slightly different.
Yeah, I think, what we talk about and what we do and what we focus on here in this podcast and in our programs, and if you're in our communities, is what do you do moving forward? Like, what are your goals now? What are your hopes, and what's your plan for making those happen? And so much of that happens in the head. We want to think it's like happens with what we put in our mouth, but before that even happens, it's what we're thinking and the thoughts and beliefs we have about ourselves and our ability to be successful.
Right. And in addition to many people in our community feeling doubtful that they can figure this out themselves, there's just so much fear. There's fear about failure. What if this doesn't work? What if I just fail again? There's so much fear. And that is all, as Mimi said, happening in your head. And if you're living with those kind of thoughts, rattling around, your actions do flow from, and your moods, your belief system about yourself flows from all those fears, if that's what's going on. And I do think therapy is a good first step. But then, after that, it's just the more kind of everyday stuff that you need help with. And kind of the hand holding, as I said, it's like mindset hand holding that we do just to keep encouraging people and keep the motivation going, keeping them in a space where they believe they can do it.
Yeah, so we have one of our favorite programs is our 4-week Beyond Bariatric Surgery program, which we'd love you to join. But even if you don't, like, what you can take away, like, why don't we just talk a little bit, Lee, about what happens if they come into that program or show up at one of our events?
So we have some basics that we really like. If you go to one of our events, after the event, you will have started to develop some Sherlock Holmes worthy detective skills to figure out a customized food plan that works for you. And we bring up Sherlock Holmes because, on one hand, we definitely are encouraging you to become your own detective, become your own scientist and observer. And this is another skill set that's not taught to us. And it's something that can be learned. You can learn it no matter what age you are, doesn't matter how old you are. You can learn to be your own food detective. But we bring up Sherlock Holmes because we also are literally saying, like, think of a favorite detective book series you've read or Netflix series, and really let your imagination come into this. We have fun with our students and our clients and encourage them to use different parts of their brain. There's the fear brain, and then there's also the left brain, kind of the part of you that's always wanting to follow instructions, for example. But then there's this other part of your brain that's your imagination, your inventiveness. It's where a lot of your intelligence sits. And so we do a lot of stuff in our programs that help you utilize that part of your brain. And so just by having fun with this, to become your own food detective, which is a process we actually teach you how to do, think of like, what's your favorite show? Is it Sherlock Holmes? Is it Monk? Like, I think I would be Monk. I would be like scared of germs, but really smart at figuring stuff out. Maybe Nancy Drew, or who
I'm a
would you?
Nancy Drew girl.
You'd be Nancy Drew. I could see that.
I
Or
always want.
Scooby-Doo, or Angela Lansbury in Murder, She Wrote. I forget her name in that series, but we can make this fun. So at our events, you leave having had fun, having used your imagination, gotten your brain functioning again in a new way around, the issue of food, the question of what do I do now? And so you leave with detective skills and a sense of fun around that. So it doesn't seem like a drag. And you're not, following an ABC rote instructions, just what I tell you to do or what Mimi tells you to do. You start becoming your own figure outer person. And it's amazing what you can come up with in a short amount of time.
Yeah. And we use the idea of a detective because it's that curiosity, like curiosity is better than judgment, right? But it's the curiosity about what foods do I like? What
Mhm.
foods work in my body? What times of day work best for me? It's like really being open to all of the things around food and
Mhm.
what works for you and what do you like and what do you don't like and why don't you like it? Maybe there's a way, like, what do you crave? Maybe you can figure out why you're craving that at certain times and come up with solutions. But when you do it with this kind of more playful detective energy, it feels more possible. Like it opens up the ability to brainstorm and have new ideas and really think outside the box.
Exactly. And that's what you need to do. Thinking outside the box is absolutely required to really get to the place where you're doing it the way you need to do it, because all these diet programs in the past have done is put you in a box. And eventually the reason you go outside of it and think you're failing on it is your inner rebel, the part of you that doesn't want to be boxed in, doesn't want to be put in a box, is like, no, I'm going to do it this way. And you think you're failing, but that's really the part of you that's trying to tell you, hey, you need to find a way to do it that works for you. And there is a way you can still reach your goals and do weight maintenance and keep the weight that you want and do it in a way that works for you. So you've got to, I think, I do want to back up and say we do recommend that you follow the advice of your surgeon. We always will support whatever your surgeon and nutritionist say. But, when you pull what they say into everyday life, there's so many choices around that. And that's what we're talking about, this everydayness. If your nutritionist said this much calcium, this much protein, then it becomes how in your everyday life do you actually put that puzzle together? That's where we come in.
Yeah. And I like how you said, like, busting out of the box, that's like your inner rebel. Because I
Mhm.
think that's another thing that people get in our program. Like, it's like this sort of Beyonce level confidence. It's like I can start to make those decisions. I can start to show up as the real me. I can start to feel beautiful, in this body that I see, coming out and emerging, even if you're suffering from body dysmorphia. And we've had conversations in podcast about that too. But just, having that confidence to start to investigate what works for you and to believe that you can know for yourself what's best for you.
Mhm. And confidence is a big part of it. And again, we would ask you to use some playfulness and imagination around your own confidence level. Like if you think Beyonce is the be all end all, then put her front and center in your mind. How do you develop that? It's possible, even if you're not, Beyonce, or pick your own superstar or fictional character you admire or historical character whose confidence you would love to have. This is where we start playing around with it. And when you start playing, it's amazing how much you actually get. You start to pick up that confidence. So when you're working with us, we're just using different parts of your brain, helping you get in there and play around a little bit, but get some like amazing work done and some amazing insight while you're with us.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think sometimes when I hear like that Beyonce level confidence, like that seems so far from what I think is who I am and what's attainable to me. There's like all kinds of ways that confidence can show up and that you could like, there's a real quiet confidence that you might have. Like who immediately jumped to my brain was Jane Goodall.
oh,
Like
wow.
she's
Yeah.
so authentically her and her quiet, kept moving forward way, like really made huge transformations. So that's what gets to be fun when you think about like who that might be, what works for you and what fits well with you and on your skin. And
Mhm. Yeah, may we all have the confidence of Jane Goodall. Yeah, a woman who went into the jungle, in her 20s, pretty much by herself and wandered around all day with all the animals that are out there. It's just exceptional what she did. So yeah, there's so many you can pick your own person, whether they're alive or dead or fictional or whoever you admire. um, Ask yourself, what if I do have what she has? What if I do have those qualities and I can bring them out in myself even more? And even around my weight, even around food, what if I could pull that confidence? Because, a lot of women in our programs, they are confident in many areas of their lives. They're confident with maybe, their career. They're confident in how much money they can make. They're confident in their mothering skills. They're confident in their driving skills, whatever, their cooking skills. But, in this one area around what to eat and when and how much, am I hungry? Am I not hungry? This is where so many people have just lost confidence. But it is something that you can build, and you can build it fairly quickly if you have a little help and guidance. You'll be surprised how much confidence you can pick up pretty quickly.
yeah, and I think with confidence is when you start to trust yourself, because I think a lot of fear that happens around food is an inability to trust yourself in the moment. And I don't know when you're watching this, but we're getting ready to head into holiday season, which only throws up so many more fears and anxiety about what's ahead. So starting to build that confidence then bleeds into also building trust and knowing that you've got it and you can handle the situation, whatever it is. I mean, we also give you some real tangible skills that you can use and some tips to help guide those. But ultimately, it comes back to trusting yourself and being confident in your decisions.
Right, right. And then if you come and work with us, in addition to the Sherlock Holmes worthy detective skills, the Beyonce level confidence, you get Mission Impossible nerves of steel to sail through the eventual stalls that happen after surgery and any other challenge that comes up. You get the toolkit and the skill set to sail through those, and it won't throw you off your game as much because you'll know what to do. You'll know how to work with your own mind, how to move yourself out of fear. We can't avoid life. There are stalls after weight loss surgery. There are challenges. Those things are real, and when they come up, as they certainly will, and this is where a lot of people have fear, you can develop the Mission Impossible nerves of steel. Or again, pick your exciting movie, your own exciting movie, or your own superhero that kind of calls into your imagination of how you would like to handle emergencies. Like we've got Elastigirl from what is that from? The Incredibles?
The
The
Incredibles.
Incredibles. Yeah, Wonder Woman, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, my favorite always. I have certain shows I always go to for examples. So, how do you want to be as you face challenges in life? It kind of calls on your own inner superhero, which you absolutely do have.
And all, just the three things that we're working on today, they all really intertwine. And it's like, as you start to develop nerves of steel, then it gives you some wins, right? You Wonder Woman's your way, with your bracelets. Does she have the bracelets, or is that?
Yes. Yeah, I love Mimi did, if you're listening and not on YouTube, she did a little Wonder Woman thing with her her cuffs.
with my cuffs,
Yeah.
that helps you build the confidence. And the confidence and the trust is like, oh, that helps with that curiosity, or maybe you start with the curiosity and it's like, okay, I'm just going to be open to this happening and investigating it. you're going to call on a little nerves of steel there. So they really they're very connected, and
Yes.
they help influence and grow each other. It's really cool.
Yeah, so you can picture they layer together and support each other. So if you develop the observation and detective skills so that you can you get that ability to figure things out for yourself and develop your own insight, and you develop the confidence to trust yourself, and you develop a toolkit to help you with calm your fears and nerves and anxieties so that you can focus and remain calm through any challenges. Those things all do go together. And it really helps, to keep that momentum going, to even develop that and keep it going, to be in a community of like-minded people who are working on the same things and building the same skill sets.
Yeah, it is. I think what we hear all the time is we can all feel like we're the unicorn, right? Like, I'm the only one that's waking up at 11:30 at night and raiding the pantry. I'm the only one that's afraid to go to the office, Christmas party, because there's going to be so many amazing things. And then when you're in a community and you'll hear that's so common, like everybody has these same fears, and everybody's going to share little things that they do, like what worked for them, how they overcame certain situations. And you'd be like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I wanted to hear. But more importantly, just to know that other people are sharing those same fears, because when you're sitting in your house by yourself, worried and fearful and convinced that you're not going to be able to do it, it's really a hard place to be. It's hard to be thinking, oh, I can be a detective. So that's why, like, that community and hearing other people share their fears and their wins and cheering you on when you have your wins is really good.
Right. And so to go from just tell me what to do, which we've all been there, but to go from that mindset, just please tell me what to do, to drawing on your inner Scooby-Doo, your inner Jane Goodall, your inner Buffy the Vampire Slayer, or whoever, or Wonder Woman in her golden cuffs. When you learn how to draw on that, you won't need to say, you won't even want to say, just tell me what to do. You'll want to be around people who support you in figuring it out for yourself, and you'll have that confidence and the trust in yourself.
Yeah. And I hope it's like, just listening to this conversation makes you think, you know what? Just tell me what to do seems like the easier path, but it's really not. What you guys are talking about, figuring it out for myself and putting a plan together that I can follow for the rest of my life, because ultimately that's what we want, right? Not a quick, short time fix. We want this to be forever. Like,
Yeah.
does seem easier. Like, that seems easier than just tell me what to do. It's
Yeah,
new.
absolutely.
It might be a new concept.
Yeah.
And, it might be like, oh, I'm going to have to put a little more work into it. But the payout is going to be so much better.
Yeah. And, these women, these people who are in our programs, who've done so much, who've accomplished so much, who've jumped through so many hurdles, gotten through so much, they still tell themselves, like, I just can't do it. They tell themselves horrible stories about themselves, but you absolutely have what it takes. You absolutely have what it takes.
Yeah. Well, we'll put the link below. I mean, we've got different programs that start. We've got live events. I love a live event.
I love a good live event. Yep.
My heart's so happy. So we hope you will join us for those. We have virtual events that we host. So we'll have the link to find out all about those below.
Yes. And so we have a song that for whatever reason, a while back, we decided we were going to have a theme song for each podcast. It's just fun. We like music. So Mimi, do you want to announce our song?
This song, I love this song so much. It is such a fierce female anthem. And to think about when it came out, it's really powerful. We have a Spotify playlist, so we'll link to that too. But the song is You Don't Own Me by Leslie Gore. And
Mhm.
if you listen to the lyrics of that song and what she's saying and think about the era that she came out in, that's some, confidence that you can latch onto and some sentiment that you can latch onto if you're feeling, oh, I don't know if I can do this.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
So, yeah, thank you for listening.
and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.